In the first episode of this two-part mini-series on how to edit the right way, we discussed the 3 key steps every editor should take before diving into a new project. If you haven't watched it yet, I strongly recommend pausing it here, clicking the link up above, and I'll see you after the intro. In this second part, I'm going to show you my personal approach on setting a naming convention, organizing the assets, and prepping string outs and rough cuts as if you were my assistant editor getting everything ready for our next project. The best part of this method is that it works with any editing software, whether it's Premiere, DaVinci Resolve, or whatever you prefer. As mentioned in my previous video, you need to stop thinking an editor is like a space monkey, pushing the buttons as fast as he can. You need to build a way of thinking like an editor because the software is just a tool. The first thing you need to remember is that editing is a collaborative process. You may find yourself working alongside a director, a producer, or another editor. You need to be able to understand your footage inside out and retrieve information as quickly as possible, so you're not disrupting the creative flow, whether you're working solo or with someone on your side. But how do you do that? Okay, let's get started. Now that we've imported the footage into our project, the first thing we need to do is make some sense out of this cold list of file names. The first thing to address is the naming convention. It's common practice to use a 3-digit ID. So for this episode titled The Pro Setup, let's use TPS. What's the point of doing this? By renaming the footage, we force ourselves to start mapping the project, building a set of information that will sit in the back of our brain, ready to be used at the right time. Let me show you. I record these videos using a script, so all my footage is divided into different parts. Let's start sorting things out. These 4 are for the intro. Let's put all of them together in a bin and apply the naming convention. The name of the bin will be TPS01, then the type of the shot, MS, that stands for medium shot, studio intro, and then a brief description. Lorenzo presents the episode. Now let's rename the shots accordingly. 01, 02, and so on. Now I've got this information cleared and stored. I know that for the intro there are 4 takes, and I know where to find them. Now let's finish prepping the rest. Now that everything is sorted out, we can create string outs by further breaking down our footage. So let's create a new sequence and name it Part 1 Intro. Next, we quickly scrub through the shots, placing in and out points where the action starts and ends, and insert them into the sequence. Then we add an extended marker, covering the shots one after another, and name it by copy-pasting the name from the bin. There are 2 main reasons for doing this. Number 1, we have now created an archive that's solid and easy to read. In a real-life scenario, if a director asks, can you find me this or that shot? We know exactly where it is, and we can retrieve it instantly. And 2, let's face it, when there is a lot of footage, it can be overwhelming. Hundreds and hundreds of shots starts to pile up in the software, and the anxiety of the infinite combinations really starts to grow. Using this method helps you clear your mind by organizing things into boxes. When the editing phase arrives, you will then be able to focus on specific things before moving to the bigger picture. Okay, and now before we jump into the rough cuts part, let's finish some housekeeping. I've selected a couple of music tracks I want to try for this episode. So let's place them in the right folder. I also use black bars, so let's import them as well. And here are my intro and outro motion graphics. Now we have a sleek, clean and well-organized project. Also, if you ever need to pass this project to another editor, you will instantly know where everything is. Believe me, this is crucial and it's also good practice. I've worked on projects in the past that looked like a freaking grenade and exploded inside, and it's no fun. Alright, let's move to the final part. One key aspect of being a good editor is learning how to pace yourself, especially if you're just starting out and haven't yet built a bank of problem-solving experience over the years. So let's imagine you're having a bad day, you have things on your mind, and you find it hard to concentrate and be efficient. That's when rough cuts come in handy. Out of the list of string outs we made earlier, pick the one that feels the easiest for you to tackle. It could be as simple as piecing two shots together. Start with the easy stuff and build your first rough cut, and then move on to something a little bit trickier. In this way, you will gradually ease into the editing process, regain confidence, and before you know it, you will have a lot of work done. And remember, you don't have to edit everything in order. That's why modern software is called non-linear editing systems. Start small. Cut little building blocks and experiment with them on a dedicated timeline. Then let them breathe for a while. When it's time to piece everything together, you will have the advantage of having a library of different edits to work with and immediately see what works and what doesn't. So that wraps up today's episode. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to support this channel, and I'll see you in the next video.